Hello and welcome to another Endgames for Beginners video. This time we're going to continue with our king and pawn endgames, and we're going to go over the rule of the airplane, which is a really cool way of figuring out how to play those king pawn endgames, especially when the pawns are interlocked with each other. So without further ado, let's begin. So I'm going to show you here exactly how the rule works. So the rule works is in here, black is to move. How can black win this pawn? And it's a pretty cool thing, actually. You have to look at these two pawns that you're fighting over because black is looking to take over this pawn. So how does he do that? You use the rule of the airplane by looking at this pawn here and then picturing a little airplane with its wings extended here. Now, we're only going to be focusing on this side, but that's how the airplane looks. That's why it's called the rule of the airplane. And the rule is basically black needs to get its king to one of these three squares on the same file as your opponent's pawn. So how do you do that? You do that by flanking the king. And the way you do that is you put the white king in opposition here on c5. The king has to go one of two ways. It's obviously not going to go here because you're just going to go at the pawn. So they're going to go here. And once you're here, this white king can no longer go here, can't go here, can't go here. So, I mean, what can it do? I mean, you can go here, but you're just going to get a little bit closer. Now the king can't go here or protect this pawn anymore. It has to leave. It's in zugzwang. So if they come here, you go here, and there's no way to stop it. King's now in front of this pawn, and it's going to look to push and win the game from here on out. So we have here black is to move. How can black win the game in this position? Now all we have to do is look at this, the airplane. So how can black get to one of these three squares with the white king here? The way of doing it is going king to c4. He has to pick one of the two ways. He's obviously going to go and try to protect his pawn in any game. You're there, and you just work your way in and take the pawn. Black easily wins in the situation, and that's how you do it. Now from here, this is a very interesting endgame where white is this close. Black is about to take the light squared pawn. How can white move when getting a draw? So black has already got to this point, and it's good to know how to draw in these positions because it's really easy to draw in these positions. The way that white wants to do that is it wants to put the king in opposition as it takes this pawn. So white will want to go here. After black takes, you're there. And no matter what black does, you just follow the black king around. And so if he tries to like do something fancy, you get in opposition, and there's no way that they can get in. You're going to draw the game no matter what. So it's good to know how to win these endgames, but it's also good to know how to draw just so that when you are playing them, not to make the bad move that ends you in a draw yourself. So now we're here. White is to win and get these pawns. By following the rule of the airplane here, all white has to do is get onto this a5 square, and no matter what black does, you're obviously going to bully him around, and getting here to the pawn, you're able to easily clean up the pawns. Again, these are very, very simple exercises, but the rule applies. As long as you're able to get your king on those airplane wings, you're going to be able to win the pawn, especially when they're interlocked like that. This is something that's been super helpful for me in my king and pawn endgames. So we have here where it doesn't work as well because you don't have the third wing here. So black is trying to get to here as much as possible, but it's not going to happen because after white pushes to king to f1 and black comes here, white's able to get here, and there is no there's no square over here past the H file, so there's no way of getting through it. And so black, no matter what, is going to win this. So yeah, it's a draw from this point. So when you have these bishop pawns, take that in consideration when trying to draw out your positions. And in our final game here, we're going to be going over how can white draw in this position. So we have the bishop pawns, but this time the king is over here and is looking to easily get to this position. So how can white draw? It's very easy to lose. If you do any of these king moves, like let's say king to c2 here, protecting this pawn, all we have to do is a c4 bishop move here, and white is in zugzwang and is going to lose this. So going here, boom, boom. So how we get out of that is we have to make the nice pawn move here, which seems counterintuitive, but remember, you're going for a draw. There's no way that you can win in this position. They're going to come here, and do not go in front of the pawn here. You're going to want to go king here and get in opposition, and then no matter what, they're going to lose. So in these positions, especially if you're defending, really realize if you can even win the position or if you can draw, and how best to not lose in these positions. So that's it for the rule of the airplane. If you want to see more endgames for beginners tutorials, those videos will be here, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.